Alright guys, I want you to imagine this with me for a second, okay? You're starting a new school, number one, and how scary that is. Number two, you're starting at a new school that's as big as the one that's behind me, and how scary that is. But number three, I want you to imagine that no one wants you there. In the September of 1957, 9 African American students showed up for school here on the first day of school, and it was their first day at this new school. Now, like us, when we start out school every year, we're greeted by our teachers and our friends, and we're hanging out with everybody, and that's not what they encountered when they got here that morning. The street that runs along the front of the school was lined with white protesters. There were military men from the National Guard all around. And when these 9 students got to the front door to go into school, they were denied access. They were turned away by the military and sent home. They came back the next day, and again they were denied access. But only this time they were the subject of beatings. They tried to be tripped. They were spit on. They were called names. And when they got all the way to the door, they were turned away again and sent home. The third day, things got so rough for these 9 students that they did not return to school for 2 weeks. And for 2 weeks, this is what happened here in Little Rock, Arkansas. The civil rights movement really turned up here in Little Rock. And these 9 students were at the center of this. It would be later on in the month when President Eisenhower would finally have to step in, and it wasn't until then that these 9 students were allowed inside of the school. They attended school here that year, but as you can imagine, it was rough. They were picked on, they were teased, they were threatened, their families were threatened, but they endured. They were part of the desegregation plan of the Little Rock, Arkansas Public School District. And so they came to school here, and they did what they were supposed to do. The next year, the governor, to try to stop any further desegregation, closed all of the public schools here in Little Rock. For the 1958-1959 school year, this school, as well as 3 others, were closed. No one went to high school that year. It wouldn't be until 1972 when Little Rock would finally desegregate, when finally African American and white students were allowed to go to schools together. But for these 9 students in September of 1957, they changed the world. They changed America. They changed the school that you are sitting in today. Thanks to these 9 students, you all have the privilege to experience diversity and culture in your school today. As I'm standing here looking at this school and thinking about what it must have been like for them that day in September, when the only thing they did wrong was show up to school. And the uproar that these streets were filled with. I think about the quote from Margaret Mead that says, "Never doubt that a small group of concerned citizens can change the world." And so that's the message that we're going to leave here today when we leave from Little Rock. That's what we'll take with us, is that never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. And for those 9 African American students that school year, indeed they did.